Hello and welcome to The Rusted Brush. Today I'm going to be reviewing and showcasing two cavalry kits from Wargames Atlantic, the Conquistador Cavalry and the Renaissance Heavy Cavalry sets. I got these sets for my Estalian army, which I've done many videos on, and I recommend you check those videos out. So to start, let's begin by going over the stuff that both kits share. I'll also mention that both sets lets you make 12 cavalry each. Both sets come with 4 of these horse sprues, with 3 horses on each sprue. The horse heads and tails are interchangeable, which can make some nice variants between the horses. It also comes with some very basic saddles as well. In terms of horses, the sculpts are fairly nice. Comparing them to Games Workshop horses, the Wargames Atlantic horse are a bit more slender. I'll be showing more scale comparisons later on, however, so I won't get into that just yet. Moving on, the sprue shared by both of these sets is the sprue that was made specifically for both of these sets. Both of these sets include 4 of these sprues. This contains a fair mix of different parts. It comes with 3 saddles that are a bit more detailed and heavier looking than the ones in the horse sprue. You get 3 sheathed swords, so you can have all your cavalry have swords on their belts. You get 6 shields, with half of each having a different design. I appreciate that the shields are different from the Conquistador infantry set as well. I like the round shields design in specific. You get 15 heads with a mix of different helmets. You get 5 berginettes with visors, and the other 10 are a mix of open-faced berginettes and morion helmets. The berginettes with visors are really what makes this stand out, as this was something I wanted from the Conquistador infantry kit. The other heads are fine, and look pretty much like the heads from the Conquistador infantry kit, with maybe some variation in facial hair, but it's not very noticeable. And lastly in the kit, you get 2 dogs. This is a nice bonus I wasn't expecting from the set, and I really like that they added them. The Conquistadors used large attack dogs, mostly mastiffs, in the Americas. Both of these dogs in the set look like mastiffs. I think this was a nice bonus that was added to the sets, as the dogs are really useful to add character to hero bases or to have on their own base. I haven't assembled any yet, as I was debating what to do with them. I may be using them for a Mordheim project instead. It would have been nice to see some armored options for the dogs, as there are some examples of armored dogs of this period. Maybe that's something they'll do down the line, maybe a dog handler's set or something like that. Moving on, let's take a look at the sprues that make both kits different. Starting with the Conquistador Cavalry sprue, you get 4 of these sprues, and it doesn't have a lot on them. You get 4 spears, and there isn't much to say about them. We have some nice variants in the stance of the spears being held, and their sleeves. Same goes with the swords. The lack of the sword design is a little disappointing, but makes sense. I do really like the sword resting on the shoulder, and they added a gloved hand on some of them as well. You also get plenty of left arms for holding the reins and shields. And lastly, you get 3 torso and leg combos with different styles of doublets. These resemble horse-riding versions of some of the Conquistador infantry bodies, which makes sense. Next up is the Heavy Cavalry sprue. You also get 4 of these sprues. This has a lot more included. You get 8 arms with swords, 4 armored and 4 unarmored. These are great, and you have a good range of different poses you can do with these arms. You get 6 arms with spears, with 2 being unarmored and the rest armored. Like the sword arms, they have some nice variations with the arms, catching the lance, and some resting it on the shoulder, which I like in particular. You get 8 arms with pistols, with 1 of them being on the left arm. This lets you have some of your cavalry be armed with a multitude of different arms being paired with this one. 4 of the guns are wheel lock and 4 are matchlock pistols. These look nice, but in particular, I prefer the wheel lock guns. I think I would have liked to see another pistol on the left arm, just to have more dual wielding or to add some more variants. You get 5 left arms, including 2 fully armored for holding shields and reins. There isn't much to say about these. You get 3 sets of what I believe are called cruppers. These go on the hips of the horse. These are neat and give some flair to horses. I found them a little bit tricky to glue on right to the horses. Speaking of horses, you also get 3 armored horse heads and patrals. Patrals are the chest armor of the horse. This is a nice addition to add some flair and some armor to the horses. In terms of small extra bits, you get 2 plumes you can add to helmets and whatnot, and you also get 4 pistols and holsters to add to your models. And lastly, you get 4 torsos and legs, which is interesting, as this means you get an extra 8 bodies from this kit, so you can use those if you have 8 horses to spare. The torsos are nice, and I really like the one with the rough color, which pairs well with a Morion helmet. And that's the content of these kits, so I'm going to move on to showing off the models painted, and talking a bit about my thoughts on the models now. Assembly was fairly easy without instructions. Even if you had little experience, this would be a fairly easy set to assemble. The croupers of the horse are really the only hard part. I also didn't realize until later, when I was assembling the horses, that there was saddles on a different sprue, and I used the basic saddles on a lot of the models. In terms of kit bashing, the 2 kits really work well together, and with the Conquistador infantry set. I would recommend to get all 3 to have a lot of options and variants in your models. Also, if you're having one of these sets, you're probably going to want the others for whatever you're building. I mixed a lot of bits from the infantry kits with these cavalry kits so I could make road warrens with crossbows for the old world, which I think look great. I also kitbashed some infantry with some of the cavalry bits, and these look great. Some of the spears can be used for footmen too. I used a spear here for a banner, and I think this looks good. The more armored Conquistador shown here looks great. I really like the one with the sword and pistol. He makes a great sergeant or captain. Kinda reminds me of Colin Farrell from the New World movie. Speaking of kitbashing, the models kitbash fairly well with GW Empire parts as well. For this preceptor, I used a Demogryph Knight helmet to show him as more important. I made a BSB with another Demogryph Knight helmet, some accessories from the Outrider kit, and the banner from a Greatswords kit. I also made a Witch Hunter using a free militia head and some extra bits from the Flagellants kit. Now, I wouldn't recommend mixing up the horse parts, as the scale of the horses is noticeable, and I also wouldn't use the GW horse riding legs on the horses, as there is an apparent gap between the saddle and the legs. Now for some closing thoughts about the model. I think these kits really work well together, but if I were to choose one, I'd stick with the Heavy Cavalry set and not the Conquistador set. The Conquistador kit is a bit lacking in terms of arms and stuff or extra bits that you can add. I think it would have been nice to see some pistols as well from this kit. You're getting a lot more from the Heavy Cavalry set, and unless you're looking for a rather lightly armored cav, the prices are pretty much the same and with more options in one. But like I said earlier, ideally they work better together. Another closing thought is about the cavalry. The Renaissance Heavy Cavalry set is more in line with demi-lancers and the riders of the Renaissance period, since they don't have a heavy lance or full plate, as they have what is called half plate. I think it would be really cool to see Wargames Atlantic come out with a fully plated knight set for this period, but there are all alternatives like GW Knights and Steel Fist miniatures which make nice heavy armor Renaissance knights. And that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll put up a poll for the community to vote on the next video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care, everyone.